You know that moment right in the middle of an affirmation where something in you just doesn't buy it? You're saying the words. Maybe you've been saying them for weeks, and they sound right. They feel like the right direction. But underneath the statement, something quieter is doing the math. Counting the gap between what you're saying and what's actually in your bank account, your relationship, your day. And that quiet part isn't loud about it. It doesn't argue. It just doesn't move. Most advice tells you to push through that. Say it louder. Say it more. Feel it harder. And I understand why that advice exists, because sometimes consistency does shift something. But there's a specific kind of stuck that more affirmations don't touch. And if you've been in that specific kind of stuck, you already know exactly what I mean. What I want to talk about today isn't whether affirmations work. It's a more precise question. What are they actually doing? And is there a point where the mechanism itself becomes the problem? Because Emmet Fox thought there was. And the alternative he kept returning to operates completely differently. Not as a better affirmation, as a different operation entirely. Here's what I think is actually happening when you affirm. And I mean this as an observation, not a criticism. When you choose a statement like, I am enough, or money flows easily to me, and you repeat it, you're attempting to install a new belief by saying it into existence. Which makes intuitive sense. Language shapes thought. Repetition builds familiarity. These aren't wrong ideas. But here's the part that doesn't get talked about honestly enough. The belief you're trying to install doesn't exist in isolation. It lands in a mind that already has a fully developed counterposition, one built from years of actual experience, actual evidence, actual memories of things not working out. And that counterposition isn't passive. The moment the affirmation arrives, the counterposition shows up with its evidence. Not aggressively, just accurately. Here's the credit card statement. Here's the conversation that didn't go well. Here's the last 3 times you tried this. So you're not just saying an affirmation, you're walking into an argument every single time. And the thing about that argument is, you can win individual rounds. You can get a good session in where the affirmation genuinely lands and you feel it. But the next morning, the counterposition is back, unchanged, still holding all its evidence. Because you didn't move it, you just temporarily spoke over it. I had a period where I was doing this seriously. Specific affirmations, specific times of day, the whole structure. And some days I'd finish the practice feeling genuinely different. Other days I'd finish it feeling like I'd just had an exhausting internal debate and the other side was still standing. What I didn't understand then was that both of those experiences were real, and the second one was telling me something true about the mechanism. The addition has a ceiling. When the thing you're trying to move is load-bearing, when it's a belief your whole self-concept has been organized around, you can stack new statements on top of it indefinitely, and the foundation doesn't shift. You haven't touched the thing itself. You've just added weight above it. Emmet Fox trained as an electrical engineer. I keep coming back to that because it actually changes how you read everything he wrote. Engineers don't use imprecise language when they're describing how something works. When Fox said divine love was the most powerful chemical in the universe and that it dissolves everything not of its nature, he wasn't reaching for a spiritual metaphor that sounded good. He was describing an operation, a specific one. Dissolving is not the same as replacing. When you dissolve something, you don't push it out. You don't install something stronger next to it. You change the conditions under which it's been holding its structure, and it releases because it can no longer maintain itself in that new environment. The thing doesn't get defeated, it just loses what it needs to stay solid. That's a completely different relationship to a resistant belief than affirmation creates. And here's where Fox's framework gets specific in a way most people miss. He wasn't saying that divine love is a force you invoke to remove obstacles from outside yourself. He was saying it's the natural state of a mind that has stopped organizing itself around fear and lack. When you genuinely contact that state, not as performance, but as an actual interior shift, the resistant belief loses the very thing that was keeping it in place. Your sustained anxious attention, your ongoing negotiation with it, your daily confirmation that it's a real and serious problem requiring constant management. Take that away, not by force, but by genuinely moving your orientation, and the belief starts to lose its grip. Not because you beat it, because you stopped feeding it the only thing it ever ran on. Fox called this the mental equivalent, the interior state that naturally corresponds to the life you're describing. And the reason it works where affirmation alone sometimes doesn't is because it's not adding a new layer, it's changing the ground itself. There's a specific interior experience that most people who practice affirmations have had at least once, usually by accident, and almost always misidentified. It's the moment you're in the middle of saying something you want to be true, and for whatever reason, you just stop caring whether it works. Not in a defeated way, more like the way you stop bracing for impact after the moment of danger has already passed. Something in you unclenches, the effort drops, and in that unclenched second, the statement you've been trying to force suddenly feels less like an argument and more like something you're just saying, quietly, without anything riding on it. Most people, when that happens, think they've lost focus, think they weren't being serious enough, and they go back to the more effortful version because that at least feels like they're doing something. But I'd push back on that interpretation. What happened in that unclenched moment wasn't a distraction. It was the closest thing to Fox's dissolved state that most people ever accidentally reach. The counterposition didn't disappear, but it stopped getting fed. And in that brief window, the affirmation wasn't landing in an argument anymore. It was landing in a quieter place, where there was nothing to push back against it. That experience is repeatable. It's not a lucky accident. It's what happens when you shift your internal orientation from arguing toward a result to simply being in contact with the part of you that already knows the result is possible. The difference between those two states isn't a better affirmation. It's the decision to stop treating the resistant belief as the main event. You don't fight it. You don't dissolve it by force. You redirect so completely that it stops receiving the attention that was keeping it large. Before I finish this, if the way I'm breaking this down is useful to you, I write longer guides on this kind of thing at manifesttheinfinite.com. Not motivational content, more like extended versions of what we're doing right now, going into the actual mechanics of inner change, rather than staying at the level of technique. If today's topic is something you want to go deeper on, that's the place. Okay, last part. So practically, what changes? It's not the words. That's the first thing to get clear on, because people hear this distinction and immediately want a new set of statements to say. But you can say the exact same affirmation you've been saying and be doing something completely different depending on what's underneath it. Here's the question that shifts the mechanism. Are you saying this because you're trying to make it true, or because you're orienting towards something you already sense is true, even if your current circumstances haven't moved yet? Those two feel different in the body. The first one has urgency in it, a low-level bracing, the kind of focus that's really just tension with a positive label on it. The second one is quieter, almost boring, honestly. It doesn't feel like you're doing very much, which is exactly why most people don't trust it. But that quiet is the point. That's not passivity, that's the absence of the internal argument. And when the argument stops, the resistant belief stops getting its daily reinforcement. It doesn't collapse overnight, but it starts losing density, the way a habit loses its pull when you stop acting on it, not because you fought it, but because you just kept choosing something else until the old groove got shallow. Think about the last time you genuinely let something go, not forced yourself to let go, but actually did. A worry, a plan that fell apart, a version of events you'd been holding on to. There was probably a moment where you just stopped, not because you decided to be enlightened about it, because you got tired of carrying it, or something else took your attention, or you just ran out of energy to maintain the grip. And in that moment of genuine release, the thing that had felt immovable just wasn't there in the same way anymore. Fox was pointing at the disciplined version of that, the practiced ability to stop feeding a belief that was only staying large because you kept showing up to argue with it every morning. That's the work, not louder affirmations. The quiet, consistent withdrawal of your attention from the thing you've been treating as a permanent obstacle. So here's where I'll leave this. The reason the affirmation practice can leave you more tired than when you started on some days is because you've been bringing your full attention to a fight that doesn't need to be won. It needs to be walked away from. The belief that's been blocking what you want isn't stronger than you. It's just been receiving something from you every single day that made it feel that way. Your attention. Stop giving it the argument it needs to stay solid. The affirmation was never the problem. The ground you were saying it into was.